Hello everyone, and welcome back to Formula 2, round number 13, the penultimate round of the championship, the 2023 season in F124. So, how is this one going to go? Technically speaking, or mathematically I should say, we can wrap up both the drivers and teams championships this weekend if things go extremely well for us, but well, that mostly depends on how, in the Drivers' Championship, how Frederik Vesti goes, because he needs a very good points haul to stay in the fight there. And then the Teams' Championship is a bit more complicated, but it's technically possible after doing the maths for us to win the Teams' Championship in the feature race, not in the sprint race, I believe. But anyway, we continue through qualifying, setting laps, and our second consecutive flyer there was much slower than our first, though we did set a purple final sector, so we can't really blame the tyres degrading for that, for the slower lap. We just didn't get our act together on lap 2, so yeah, we currently sit well down the order, and we need to find something special.
Right, so our fastest lap currently 1 minute 35.3.
Notably, both Pramers are well down the order, so that includes our championship rival Frederik Vesti, the only one who can beat us in the championship. He's currently not in the top 10 at the moment, so yeah, we're not the only ones struggling here at the Pramer home race, no less. Looks like they both might be struggling for points this weekend unless they can improve. We go again, though, towards the end of the session, and we'll see what we can do on our final lap. We are improving this time, but it's not by a huge amount. We will move ourselves up the order, but it's only to P number 15. It's going to be a tough weekend from here.
The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action, and until then, goodbye.
But it's a Yumu Iwasa who takes pole position. I'm not even going to say it anymore, but it's a good start to the weekend for Yumu Iwasa. Hadjar P2. That's a great result for High-Tech, who have been a bit hit and miss this season. But Kushmaini does get into the top 10, which is fantastic for us. But yeah, Frederik Vesti only P13, so and Oliver Behrman in between us. So the two Pramers lining up just ahead of myself. Looks like the MP Motorsport cars did both get into the top 10, and they'll be in very good shape to score well in the sprint race, because they'll be starting first and fourth with Jane Deruvala and Kushmaini, an all-Indian front row for the sprint race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Monza is situated 12 miles northeast of Milan. It's 3.6 miles long and offers 11 corners. 7 of those are chicanes, putting a premium on good braking stability and traction. With a good slipstream plus the other 2 DRS zones available, there should be a good number of passing opportunities on offer. And we welcome you to the Formula 2 commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this one is Mr. Alex Brundle. And we've got this format in Formula 2, Alex, where the top 10, they get reversed from qualifying to form our grid. So the mid-order in qualifying now become contenders for the win.
Well, you've got the grid reversed, giving some drivers who wouldn't normally get it the opportunity to take a win or a podium home. They're going to be looking to snatch that opportunity if at all possible.
Right, speed is key here today. We're going to want a low downforce setup. It does mean that DRS won't be as effective, but hopefully we'll be so quick we won't even feel it.
That sounds like something that would have been more appropriate to say during practice than on the grid for the race, when it's already too late to make any setup changes. Thank you, Mark. But anyway, hopefully we've gone the right way in terms of setup. I've gone with absolute minimum downforce on the front, and I think 20 on the rear, the numbers ranging from 0 to 50. So the standard setup is 25-25. I've typically gone either higher on the rear or lower on the front, depending on the circuit. in recent rounds. So yeah, we'll see how things play out here as we go to the 5 red lights. And it's the lights out, and away we go for the sprint race at Monza from 15th on the grid. We find a nice little opening to move to the inside, and I think the inside is where I want to be. Normally I'm a big fan of the outside line, but I don't think that's going to work for us here with the geometry of the first few corners. So down the inside we go, and we'll just crawl our way through. And I think we've managed to make a few positions up here. We have, and we're up into P12, so it's been a nice start to the race for us, as we are still fighting away a little bit as we continue to go side by side, and we'll eventually be able to get the better of Yumu Iwasa as we dive it down the inside. We try and make a space for ourselves, and maybe a switchback here will work just fine on Isaac Hadjar. We do get through on the Frenchman. That puts us up into the top 10 now. So yeah, that's been a very effective start to the race for us, and yeah, we've been able to move ourselves up 5 places off the grid. So that is absolutely perfect. We'll take a look at a replay of the start then, because Kushmaini was on the front row alongside his fellow Indian driver Jay Daruvala, who managed to hold the lead towards turn 1. The two actually swapped sides, Daruvala inside, Maini on the outside into turn 1. Maini actually gets a bit later on the brakes there, and maybe briefly with the nose ahead, but Daruvala with the better line through turn 2, and Kushmaini has to slot in behind, but he's held second position. And remember, MP Motorsport's one of the teams we are fighting with most for the team's championship, so those two are going to be going at it for the rest of this race, I imagine, to try and get those extra few points for the team's championship. But focusing back on our own race, we've got work to do if we want to score points, because currently we are not in the top 8, and with you know, a lot of traffic around us, setting even a faster lap will prove challenging. But Maini making the move around the outside of Daruvala, and again they fight side by side through turn 1, and again Maini not able to get through, but clearly our teammate...
Watch out for understeer in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as quickly as you can. Push, push.
Our teammate has the pace to take the fight to Jay Daruvala, which is absolutely awesome. But we'll make a nice move there on Juan Manuel Correa. That moves us up into 9th position in this race with a fastest lap as we do that. So now we are scoring 1 singular point for our fastest lap.
The car behind is dropping back. We're seeing a gap starting to form.
Richard Verschoor up next as we make the move down the inside of the Dutchman, and oh, that got a little bit awkward there as we almost tangled, and there might have been some slight contact, but we made our way through regardless as we slither on down the inside of Enzo Fittipaldi there through the Ascari.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
Ascari chicane there. So yeah, we are fighting our way through the field pretty quickly, as out in front Daruvala's on the defence towards Parabolica. So Kushmaini's got a great run out of the Ascari chicane this time, and he tries to look around the outside of the final corner. That's not going to work for Kushmaini there, but he's right tucked in the slipstream. This is as close as you can possibly get out of Parabolica, and this should be an easy move for Kushmaini with the DRS open towards turn 1. Plenty of excess straight line speed, and he's bringing Dennis Hauger with him, so the MP Motorsport cars are going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1. Daruvala versus Hauger, and looks like Daruvala's got to come out on top there with that outside line through turn 2. Always tending to work better, but with those two fighting away, it's you know, hopefully gonna prevent them from getting too far up the road, and hopefully we should be able to close in as well, as we're making a couple of moves on French drivers in a row here. Teo Porcher and then Clement Novalak into the De La Roja chicane. We get ahead of the Trident driver. We were a little bit wide at the exit, but we should be alright to hold on, and that moves us up into the top 5 now. Just Zane Maloney, who separates us from the fights that we really need to be fighting. So we go for the move down the inside of the boy from Barbados into turn 1, and we should be able to get this one done side by side through the Varianti del Rettifilo, and we get the move done on Zane Maloney up into 4th position. And now it goes Campos, MP, Campos in the top 4. So yeah, this battle in for the podium places has some very much some crunch time vibes, championship wise. because this is what we are all fighting for at the moment. The Drivers' Championship's basically done and dusted, especially for Daruvala and Hauger. So we need to really focus on trying to beat MP Motorsport. We were able to get through on Hauger at the Ascari chicane as Kushmaini is throwing the block on Jane Daruvala, who's taking the inside for turn 2, and that's not going to work out for the Indian driver. And as we struggled a little bit on the exit, we might still be close enough though to Daruvala, who was very slow on the exit. We might be able to make a move into the De La Roja chicane. We're a fair way back, but we're getting the slipstream towards the De La Roja chicane. We're going to make the move down the inside of Jane Daruvala, and there's nothing the Indian driver can do. We're through up into second place, and it's now Campos 1-2, MP down to 3 and 4. They're still scoring a lot of points, and they'll certainly keep themselves in the fight with these results. But we have now maximized what we can do in this race as a team. So hopefully we can hang on to this, but it's not going to be easy, especially with some rain forecast later in the race. I don't think I actually mentioned that while we were on the grid, but it was on the weather forecast there as we are getting re-overtaken by Daruvala there. So we're starting to struggle a little bit more for pace in this race. I think our tyres perhaps have worn out a little bit faster than everyone else's with the extra downforce we're carrying. We can probably carry a bit more speed through the corners, put a bit more load through the tyres, and yeah, maybe that's what's causing that. Maybe I've just been driving a little more aggressively. But either way, we've done the work and we've gained the track position, so that's the main thing. We just need to try and hold on to it now, and I think we should have enough.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
We should have enough in the tank to be able to hold off those behind. But as we continue on,
Radar suggests some weather's going to hit in around 5 minutes time, so stay on your toes.
the rain grows ever closer. So yeah, this is going to be intriguing to see how this plays out, but it's going to get tricky towards the end of this race, as that's a mechanical failure. A big lot of smoke coming from one of the Red Bull cars there, and I have a feeling that is Dennis Hauger, and it is. That is huge for the championship. One of the MP Motorsport cars who was running in 4th position out of the race. So that's a game changer. But meanwhile, the other MP Motorsport car still on the move, still trying to make some overtakes in this race. He gets actually back past me fully as we head towards turn 1. We'll round up Daruvala around the outside though, and we'll maintain the position. So we're continuing to fight away with Daruvala, but at this stage of the race, I actually got a little bit of floor damage. I don't actually know where it came from. I didn't quite catch that, but I assume just from one of the curbs around the track somewhere. It's actually quite rare. These Formula 2 cars are built pretty tough, but yeah, it has made things a little bit more difficult, and could explain the lack of pace we've had in the latter stages of this race. Kushmaini's been able to sustain a fairly healthy gap, as we are using all the millimeters now of the circuit to try and maximize each corner. So yeah, we're struggling. Daruvala is absolutely putting the pressure on, but so long as we can continue to hold him off, we're still a long way ahead of 4th place. Maloney further back, it has not had the pace to keep up with the top 2 teams in this race, so that's something. And even if we do let Daruvala through, I don't think we'll drop off the podium. But yeah, things are getting pretty tricky for us at this stage of the race, and there's still a long way to go. We're only just past halfway as Daruvala's down the inside. We'll sweep around the outside though of the final corner, so we're making life hard for the MP Motorsports drivers. We're a little bit wide on the exit there, but every time we're on a straight, that extra downforce we've got in our rear wing is absolutely killing us. And especially when Daruvala has DRS, there's absolutely nothing we can do to stop him from going past. All we can do is go for the move back down the inside into turn 1 and just continue to fight, continue to be an annoyance. And once again, we hold on to the position. But it is getting increasingly difficult at this stage of the race. But so far, we are managing to do all right. But yeah, Miney is blazing off into the distance now as we've been fighting non-stop with Daruvala. So yeah, we need to drive very well through this section of the track as well, as that's a mechanical failure for Jack Crawford, who's going to find a place to park it up, holding up the queue a little bit there. Roman Stanek, I believe, was in the Trident, just in behind, but Jack Crawford is going to park it up. Eventually, he's still looking for a spot, but I think finally he will find one. There he goes. Off the road goes Jack Crawford, and he's out of the race once again with a mechanical failure. He hasn't had much luck with those this season. But anyway, back on board with myself as we head down towards the Ascari chicane once more. You can see it is pouring with rain now. DRS is disabled, so that could make things very interesting. It is time, absolutely time, for the wet tyres. There's no two ways about it. But the question is it worth it? Because if we make a pit stop now, there's only 4 laps to go. But to be honest, I wasn't even really thinking about that at the time. I just knew that these tyres were not going to be good for any more laps. So I went diving off into pit lane and, yeah, selected the wet tyres. So hopefully this doesn't prove to be a mistake. I did this based on the assumption that everyone else would be coming in as well, but being so close to the end of the race, no one else come into the pits with us. I did, I guess, preempt that, you know, Miney would be coming in later, and I didn't want to have to double stack. So, yeah, this that was more along the lines of what I was thinking when I made this stop. But with now only 4 laps to go, it'll only be 3 laps to go by the time we all come around again. So it's debatable whether we're going to gain this amount of time back, but we do come out of pit lane on the wet tyres, and yeah, we'll see what we can do on this compound. But yeah, the conditions are only going to get worse. Kush Miney still holds the lead, and remember, he's put in some fantastic wet weather drives as of late, so hopefully he'll be able to hold on to this one. Deruvala has some work to do if he wants to catch up, and then Maloney is now up into 3rd position, so that could be a great result for Zane Maloney if he can hold on to that. And Clement Novalak P4 at the moment. A little bit further back in the queue, Teo Porcher has a bit of front wing damage. He's holding up a mega queue of cars. That is a large percentage of the field, and the reason for that actually started quite a while ago. It started with this battle between Clement Novalak and Zane Maloney for what is now 3rd position on track. Novalak was able to get through on Zane Maloney, and that was all fine, but shortly after that, Clement Novalak locked up into Parabolica, come back onto the racing line, and just slammed into Teo Porcher, who was already down the inside. Here's the onboard from the ART driver, and Porcher had nowhere to go there. Novalak was just come back onto the racing line at such a sharp angle.
Alright, we're last of the running cars right now. Okay, Nissan is ahead of you. They're on old mediums. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 4 laps remaining.
It just knocked the end of the front wing off of the Teo Porcher car, so that's why Porcher's been a little bit slow as of late, and he's holding up quite a queue of cars, and that might just help us catch up a few places. But anyway, we will see how that goes. Nassani is the next car in front of us as we go for a little wander off into the grass there. But racing.
Caution!
It's the caution at Parabolica, and it is Roy Nassani. He's backed it off the road at Parabolica. And what has happened to the Israeli driver? We go zooming on through as Nassani drops to the back on those slick tyres, and I can only imagine that the slippery conditions might have just caught him out. Here's a replay then to see what happened. There's no one else around, and it is just the slippery conditions on the slicks. That was inevitable that it would happen to someone, and unfortunately it was Roy Nassani, who was already running down the back of the field. I mean, second last only to us. Before that spin, now last for the Israeli driver, and one of the few drivers, perhaps even the only driver not to score points this season, unfortunately for Roy Nassani. It's been a very tough one, but we carry on then, and we do catch up to the field, but we've only got a lap and a half to go, so it might be too little too late, but we do have some mega pace. But with our lack of straight line speed, even in these conditions, we are going to struggle to make any progress with so many straights around this circuit. But we'll see what we can do. We're going to make the move down the inside into the Ascari chicane. We'll get one position there on Roman Stanek, So hopefully this trend can continue. This is the train of cars we're up against. This goes all the way up into the points. So if we can pass all of these cars, I think Teo Porchera at the head of the train is in P6. So if we can get anywhere near the front of this train, we should be fine for at least a couple of points. But as we make the move on Charles Leclerc through Parabolica, this is the start of the final lap. Looks like no one's able to make any overtakes in this train. We're a long way off the back of it now though, as we head along the main straight, so we're going to need to do a mega dive down the inside into turn 1 if we want to gain any places here into the first corner. So here we go then, down the inside we go, and it's a late braking move. We get down the inside of Cordial there, and oh my goodness, there's a spinner at the front of the pack, and that's allowed us to go around the outside of everyone. A little bit off circuit on the corner exit, but that's moved us all the way up into P9 with the fastest lap of the race. That guarantees a point for us, and we are well ahead of everyone else, and you can see the water spray off the tyres now. It is certainly full wet conditions, but it was Isaac Hadjar who spun and absolutely held up the queue there, as everyone just had to throw the anchors on after Leclerc going off the road. Here's a replay from off board. Leclerc tried to follow us through around the outside, but ended up wandering off the road. Hadjar backed off track and to allow everyone through. But out in front, once again, Kushmani has showed his class in the wet conditions, and there was no stopping the Indian driver once the rains come down. Kushmani takes victory at the sprint race at Monza, and in fact it's going to be an India 1-2 with Jane Deruvala in second position. And what do you know, it's going to be a driver from the West Indies in P3, the boy from Barbados, Zane Maloney, on the podium today. Good stuff by the Barbadian driver. Back on board with myself then, as we continue to make our way around the final corner. We've caught up to the Van Amstel cars, we've got past Correa, we might get Vachor to the line. Side by side we go. Do we have the straight line speed? I think we will. Side by side across the line.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And that's P7 for us. We did get Vachor by the finest of margins. We get the driver of the day as well. We were a little bit lucky with that comeback, but I'll take it, to be honest.
What a superb performance from Kushmani, who takes the win.
Well, whether you love or hate sprints in Formula 1, they definitely deliver. In Formula 2, lovely stuff. Great racing.
I can see them on their way out to the podium now. Campos have come a really long way in this sport, and what a special race this was to see them earn the top spot.
What a day for the Indian drivers here at Monza. Kushmani with the sprint race victory and Jane Deruvala in second position. Third place for Zane Maloney.
And after all that excitement, I think it's time for a lie down. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
You know, the more I do these Formula 2 videos, the more I think Jane Deruvala has just sort of turned into Jane Deruvala. Anyway, let's see. We'll run through the top 10 as always. Of course, it was Kushmani, Jane Deruvala and Zane Maloney on the podium, followed by Clement Novalak, a good race by the Triton driver, Enzo Fittipaldi P5 ahead of Teo Porcher, myself, Richard Vachor, rounding out the point scorers. We did of course get the fastest lap, and rounding out the top 10, Juan Manuel Correa, a good race for him, and Ayumu Iwasa rounding out the 10. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, we now have a 69 point lead over Frederick Vesti, so I think that might be enough to have secured the championship here and now. We've still got the feature race coming this round, that's 25 points, and then plus the final round, that's another feature race, which is makes it 50 points, another sprint race makes it 60. We've got 3 fastest laps and another pole position to go, so 65 points left. So yes, that is enough for us, because there are only 65 points left to score this season. So there we have it, we are the F2 champions of the season. Kushmani has done pretty well for himself in the latter stages. He's 7th in the standings and just 7 points behind Oliver Bearman, so potentially could move up into P6 if he has a good run in the next race. In terms of the Teams Championship, I highly doubt that one is resolved just yet, so we'll have a look at that. MP Motorsport are 2nd and they are 45 points adrift, and the next team are Prema, 62 points adrift. So yeah, I don't think that's done and dusted yet. They are both still definitely in the fight, but I think ART are now out of the picture. 102 points away, if not mathematically out. They realistically are, with Victor Martins not starting within the top 10 in the feature race today, and of course with another whole round to go. So yeah, it's now down to well, realistically probably just down to us and MP Motorsport, because Prema don't have any cars in the top 10 to fight with in the feature race coming up, so it's going to be a very difficult ask for them to catch up, but we'll see what happens. They might be able to pull off something special, you never know, and it depends what the weather does as well. If there's more rain, then anything can happen, but yeah, for now we've done the job in that race, or Kushmindi did the job in that race. We did to begin with. Hard to say if making a pit stop was the wrong call, because we were starting to struggle for pace towards the end. You know, we were having to fight pretty hard with the Ruvula, and then even beyond that, I wasn't confident driving in the wet on the slick tyres. I would much rather have, you know, made that pit stop and used the wet tyres, even if it was, you know, overall a slower strategy. I think that would have been better. I think I would have dropped back, you know, potentially further if we're on the slicks. But anyway, that's all the ifs, buts and maybes. Let's get into the feature race.
Hello and welcome back to a classic circuit, familiar to fans the world over. This is Monza. You can hear the cars ready to go. Certainly the fans are ready for some action. We're all set. So let's get this Formula 2 race underway. Monza is one of the faster circuits in Formula 2, comprising some very long straights and tight chicanes. The engine spends so long at full throttle, in fact, that engine failures are not an uncommon sight here. On top of that, the 3.6 miles of track are pretty hard on the gearbox too. As the engineers make their last inspection of the cars, let's take a look at today's grid order for the race. Ayumu Iwasa lines up on pole position, and it's Isaac Hadjar in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid we have, for sure, Fittipaldi, Teo Porcher, Novalak, Hauger, Maloney, Miney, Jan Deruvula, Benavides, Correa, Frederick Vesti, Ollie Bearman, and Boschong, Martins, Doohan, Amory Cordial, Crawford, Leclerc, Stanek, and Roy Nissany completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, speed is key here today. We're going to want a low downforce setup. It does mean that DRS won't be as effective, but hopefully we'll be so quick we won't even feel it.
Alrighty, thank you Mark for that advice yet again. Not much strategy to talk about here. Super softs to begin with, and then we'll go on to the mediums to finish off the race. Starting down in P15 yet again, of course, for this one. It's going to be a potentially an even tougher ask in this race, because I'm not as confident on the super softs, so I think this first stint will just be about survival and trying not to lose anything, and then towards the end of the race on the mediums, hopefully we'll be able to move our way forward. That is the plan as we now go to the formation lap. And you know, when you start down in 15th position, you have to wait a really long time to get going again. In fact, I'm just going to skip past that because that's not particularly interesting. We come around to finish the formation lap, and I did not do a good job at all. My tyre temperatures are all over the place. There's not a lot of good ways to warm up the right-hand side tyres here at Monza on the formation lap, so
Okay, incredible.
that does make things a bit tricky. But anyway, we now go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for the feature race at Monza. and it's an alright start for us. We have some good traction towards turn 1. We have a little look to the inside, no way through there. We'll go to the outside. We've got a bit of a window to work with, so we'll make the move down the outside. Hauger didn't want to give us the space there, and we have to go straight ahead in through the additional chicanes here, and we carefully navigate our way through. We have to almost flick spin our way through. That's an incredibly tight squeeze to get through there, and yeah, we did manage to get through, but that was ridiculously tight. I'm pretty sure it's almost impossible to get through there without actually sliding the car, so yeah, we had to resort to that. But anyway, radio, it doesn't seem to be working, but I think the car's fine.
No threat of rain for the time being. Conditions look good.
And yeah, no weather forecast for this race. Just dry all the way through, which is fantastic. But anyway, let's see what we can do to recover from this. So of course, drop to the back with that moment. But again, if we can just survive this opening, we haven't dropped that far behind. So we're certainly not out of it yet, and with the field spreading out over the opening couple of laps, we should be able to get ourselves back in contention. But replay the start then, with Iwasa on the front row, and the Japanese driver gets a good launch towards turn 1. It'll be fantastic to see the Japanese driver finally get some luck on his side. But, oh, lock up there. It hasn't started well, but I think Iwasa will hold on to first position for now, ahead of Isaac Hadjar. So yeah, there's a lot of Red Bull cars around the top 10 in this race as we go on board with Kushmaini and Deruvala down the inside towards turn 1, and Maini sticking to the outside line, gets around the outside of Hauger, and now side by side, and maybe not quite getting the traction there versus Zane Maloney. Kushmaini slots in behind, but still gains 1 place off the start, so a good start for Kushmaini as we go back on board with myself. We've caught up to the train now, and we'll first target Roy Nassani as we see if we can make the move towards the inside, but again, all
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done.
rear downforce that we're carrying does slow us down along the main straight, but we might be able to go full send into turn 1 with the field bunching up. We go for the move down the inside of Nassani and Crawford, and we'll see if we can get this one done. Banging wheels there through turn 2 as we gave Crawford the big squeeze, and we should be able to get this one done as we continue to run side by side all the way through Curva Grande. Crawford not giving this one up around the outside, and he's got the straight line speed, you know, and Crawford gets back through. We're going to have to switch back to the inside, maybe a bit of contact there as we try to jam the car back down the inside of Jack Crawford, and we will get the move done on the American driver and move ourselves up into P20. That was an aggressive fight for P nowhere in this race, but we have to start making progress, and you have to get feisty with these guys and try and get through the field as quickly as we can, but we have a lot of work to do. But yeah, we didn't make things easy for ourselves with that bit of contact through turn 2. Otherwise, if we got a cleaner run through there, we might have been able to get away with you know, holding off Crawford and not having to get him back into the De La Roja chicane. And yeah, we were very awkward through that section as well. So yeah, just a messy moment as we now are fighting away with Crawford once more into turn 1. We hold off the American driver once more, but this is becoming quite a distraction, and I can't close into the cars ahead because I need to keep defending from these guys behind. So it's a little bit tricky to manage at the moment. I need to really try and push in the middle sector to get away and try and break the DRS, but there's very few opportunities to do that here. And as we move on another lap, we're going 3 wide into turn 1 there, and now Crawford and Nassani start fighting side by side. Nassani around the outside, and he gets the move done on Jack Crawford. So hopefully that bit of side by side battling is enough to let us off the hook for a while and help us close into the cars in front. But that is Isaac Hadjar making the move on Ayumu Iwasa on the back straight. We haven't seen many overtakes there, so Iwasa might have a bit of an issue. We'll see what happens, but that is a strange place to lose a position in these races. All the overtaking has pretty much been happening into turn 1 DRS wise, but yeah, look at that. Iwasa is lacking speed, I think, in a straight line, and there's something amiss with that car, unfortunately, and it's more bad luck for Ayumu Iwasa because as we continue along the main straight, he's still under pressure, and even with the help of the DRS, he has got another Red Bull car. It's Red Bull cars 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with Enzo Fittipaldi now trying to make the move around the outside, and he'll try to get this one done. Iwasa holds on for now, but I don't think that's going to last long. We'll continue on back on board with myself as we continue to try and make our way through the field. We've got Roman Stanek and Arthur Leclerc in front of us now, and we make the move down the inside of the pair of them into turn 1. So we're getting aggressive with these overtakes, and that was a much cleaner one, and we were able to clear both drivers through turns 1 and 2 without having to continue the fight all the way through the next sequence. So that was much better, as we see Kushmaini going for the move down the inside of Ayumu Iwasa. So that just shows how far Iwasa has fallen down the order, as Kushmaini moves up into 7th position in this race. So he's doing pretty well, and just chipping away and gaining places when he can. But that is a little bit of a lock-up there for Jayan Darubala, and that didn't cost him any positions, but the pressure's on for the MP Motorsport drivers. They need to score big as we come into the pits, and that was a nice pit entry there. We gained a bunch of time on the Invicta car in front of Amari Cordial. We might be able to jump him in the pits if we get a good stop by the crew. We'll see how it goes as we get into the box now. Hopefully the Campos team can give us a nice clean stop and get us out ahead of Amari Cordial.
Right, let's go, come on! That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
And we have a great stop by the crew, and that's earned us one more position. One less car we need to pass on track, and we are through on Amari Cordial, so that's worked very well. And now out of pit lane, next car in front of us is Brad Benavides. We might also get the undercut on those who are yet to stop, but we'll see if we can make the move around the outside of Benavides into turn 1, and we can't get it stopped. We have to take to the shortcut. We'll give up that position and slot back in line. Cordial with a little bit of a run on us, but I think we'll be okay to hold off the Belgian driver, and we'll maintain position. But yeah, we tried to get a little ambitious there, but unfortunately it didn't work for us. This is on board with Enzo Fittipaldi in the pit lane, and he was held for an absolute eternity with a line of cars going past. So that is so painful for Enzo Fittipaldi, and he tumbles down the order with that stop. So that's a shame for Enzo, as he was fighting with Iwasa for 2nd position, and obviously, as we saw Mining passing Iwasa a while ago, obviously got that move done at some point, as we drift our way through as we're pushing hard on cold tyres, trying to close in to Brad Benavides once more, but not able to make the move just yet. We send it into the final corner with a peek around the outside. We'll switch it back to the inside on the exit, and we'll continue to race our way on. Benavides with the better straight line speed, of course. We duck into the slipstream though. DRS open towards turn 1.
Tyre condition still looking good.
And now we'll make the move to the inside. To the outside we go. And we're going to be late on the brakes. And I think, Benavides must have surely got caught up in the traffic there, as we get through on a couple of Alpine liveried cars. Jack Doohan and Victor Martins coming out of pit lane there. And yeah, here's the onboard with Brad Benavides. And we almost tricked him into defending. And all of a sudden, as we make our way down the outside, Benavides had a wall of cars in front and had nowhere else to go but to brake early. So it's a shame for Benavides, got himself caught out there. But anyway, that allowed us to gain a few easy spots as we now start to put the pressure on the Prema drivers. Frederick Vesti, who is no longer in championship contention.
Keep managing your tyres, manage your tyres.
The Prema drivers still in the fight team-wise, but not really in points contention in this race unless they can do something special in the latter half. But down the inside of Vesti we go. We might get Bamman as well as we jam it down the inside. We got caught up on the curb though, and I think we took maybe a little bit too much of a shortcut there, so we're going to let him go, and yeah, we'll fight this one another day. But yeah, we've definitely got the pace over the Prema drivers. We just need to find a way through. But a lock up there from someone just up the road as the pressure's building in this train of cars. So yeah, we'll see who that was. It was Fittipaldi who had the lock up. So maybe a little bit of frustration after that slow stop, or not slow stop, just getting held up in the pit lane for Enzo Fittipaldi there. But anyway, we make the move down the inside of Frederik Vesti into the Ascari chicane, a touch deep, but we managed to keep things under control.
Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy.
That moves us up into position 12 in this race, so still a few more points, still a few more positions before we get into the points, but we'll make the move on Ollie Behrman. We can't quite get that one done into the Della Roggia chicane, so we have to slot back in behind as we have a little look down the inside of Lesmo number 1. No way through there, so we have to slot in behind once more. We get right tucked in behind the Prema driver through Lesmo number 2, and now along the back straight. This will be our opportunity with a lot of slipstream and the DRS open. Hopefully this will be our chance to make the move on Oliver Behrman as we head towards the Ascari chicane. Down the inside we go, and we'll slither on through on Oliver Behrman there. Move ourselves up another position and one step closer to the points. Up into P11 now, and Jane Deruvala, the gatekeeper of the points, so we can knock out one of the MP Motorsports drivers from the top 10 with the move on the inside of Lesmo 2. So you can see the increase in pace that we have on the medium compound tyres, just feeling more confident on this compound, and that has been a running trend all season. I've always preferred the harder compounds, and now we are absolutely harassing Enzo Fittipaldi, who's unfortunately dropped all the way back now into currently 9th position, soon to be 10th if we can get this move done. We're going to go for the outside of the final corner, and we'll swing it all the way around on Enzo Fittipaldi, and we'll get the job done there. So we continue to push on. That's a Yumu Iwasa in front of us now, who continues to struggle in this race. He might have got his issues sorted at this point, but the time loss is evident, and the positions he has lost going to be very difficult to recover as Kushmaini goes for the move around the outside in front of us. There's Red Bull cars everywhere. Maini fighting away with Zane Maloney, Hauger on his own, and then we're fighting away with the Yumu Iwasa, Enzo Fittipaldi just behind, and then Isaac Hadjar leading the race out in front. So 5 of the Red Bull livery cars are in the top 10, the only other being Jack Crawford further down the order towards the back of the field. But we continue to fight. Down the inside of Iwasa we go into the Della Roggia chicane, and we get the move done on the Japanese driver, move ourselves up yet another position, and make our move there. So now we are up into P8 in this race as we now close in to Dennis Hauger, as Kushmaini is continuing to put the pressure on Zane Maloney for a place inside the top 5. So
pulling out a second a lap on the car behind. Really good stuff.
That'll be great for Kushmaini if he can get it done. And he might be going for the move here down the inside into turn 1. Kushmaini on the correct side of the road this time, and looks like Kushmaini's going to get the move done. We tried to get the move done on Hauger at the same time, but we weren't quite able to do it. And Kushmaini, with that move done, is now into the top 5. We remain in P8, still really trying to pile the pressure on though as we head towards the Della Roggia chicane. And Hauger hard on the defense. He's almost driving in the grass down the inside. We'll make the move around the outside into the Della Roggia chicane. We'll get the job done and move ourselves up into 7th position. So both myself and Kushmaini working our way forwards in this race. And yeah, we should be bringing in a pretty decent points haul. I think the maths is that we need to overhaul all that. Is Dennis Hauger with another mechanical failure in exactly the same place as race 1. He parks at the same exit road there, and that is just a disastrous weekend for the Norwegian driver. And then once again, an MP Motorsport car out of the race means things get a little bit easier for us. But anyway, that was the move on Zane Maloney, putting us up another position into P6. So yeah, that should be very close to securing the team's championship for us. As I was just about to say, we need to overhaul MP Motorsport by 20 points in this race as we charge down the inside. A little bit too deep there though, and some contact with Teo Porcher. I was only aiming to make the move on Maini, but we just got in too deep, and Maini was actually able to take advantage of that and move ahead of Porcher. So that worked out very well for us. And yeah, now we are looking very strong as we continue to, or if we look at a replay of that rather, and Porcher really wanted to keep fighting that one actually. through the chicane. He didn't want to give up, and that ultimately resulted in some secondary contact through turn 2. Here's the onboard with Kushmaini, and yeah, to be fair, we did get it stopped, only just, but yeah, Kushmaini on the racing line got through the turn 1-2 section very well and was able to round up Teo Porcher, but we're now 4th and 5th in the race. That is worth 22 points. And Jane Deruvula down in P10, that's only 1 point. He might have the fastest lap of the race at the moment, I believe. So he does have that, but we still are gaining 20 points over MP Motorsport in this race with Hauger out. So this might be enough for us to secure the team's championship. Another position will put it beyond doubt, I think. But I feel like we are in a pretty strong position now as we start to put the pressure on Verschoor. We make the move into Parabolica and we get the job done on the Dutchman, moving ourselves up into the podium places as we ran a little bit wide on the exit there. But Verschoor, of course, not done yet. He's in the slipstream with the DRS and he goes to the outside and a bit indecisive there. And I realised too late that he was going to the outside, so I gave him a bit of a squeeze. Now Miney down the inside of Verschoor, and Miney might be able to get this one done. Round the outside of turn 2 goes Kush Miney, and he's up into 4th position. So Kush Miney has been very opportunistic with these moves as we've disturbed some of the other drivers around us. Kush Miney has always been there to take advantage. And now Kushmaini might be close enough to make the move on myself as we head towards the final corner. Kushmaini gaining and gaining, and we're not going to fight this one too hard. Kushmaini clearly with some good pace at the moment, and yeah, he gets through down the inside. We'll just take the slipstream and the DRS and hopefully just use that to help us defend from Richard Verschoor behind. So as we, oh, that's a plume of smoke, and that is Oliver Behrman. So if things weren't bad enough for Prema at their home race, or home round, Behrman retires from the feature race. What a shame for the Prema team. They're going to have an utterly pointless weekend here, I think, unless Vesti can pull out something special. But we make the move on Miney into the final corner as we getting close to the end of the race now. Miney didn't have the pace to catch up, unfortunately, to Clement Novalak, so I have to see if I can do it myself now. But I think we may have left it a little bit too late, and either way, Kushmaini is going to get us back towards turn 1, so we didn't really do that particularly well, and we're going to have to find another way through on our teammate as we begin the penultimate lap of the race now. And yeah, of course, we don't want to do anything too silly while we're trying to fight away with our teammate, because we are ultimately trying to bring home the team's championship today and you know, clinch it with a round to go. We'll make the move around the outside of Kushmaini into the Ascari chicane, and we'll get the job done there on Kushmaini. But we've only got 1 lap now to catch up to Clement Novalak, and I think it's a bit too little too late. So yeah, as we continue on to the final lap through the Ascari chicane for the final time, we're not close enough to do anything about Clement Novalak, so it's going to be P3 for us. But out in front, it has been a pretty dominant race from Isaac Hadjar. Iwasa got pole position and led away from the start, but once Hadjar took the lead, there was no looking back for the Frenchman, and it's feature race victory for Isaac Hadjar here at Monza. What a result for Isaac Hadjar. Second place for Clement Novalak. Good race from him. We take P3, Miney P4, and the rest of the field come across the line. Everyone still relatively close together, bit of a gap back to the next crew, but that is the field. So no one falling too far behind in this race. Goodness me.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
P3 for us. Not bad. After starting P15, I will certainly take that. And we win the team's championship with this result here. Awesome stuff.
A super drive, a super win for Isaac Hadjar.
And they've won the team's championship. Utterly brilliant. Such a small group of people that can work on these Formula 2 cars, and the driver is the hero of the day for that team.
And as they make their way down to the podium, there's no denying the strength of the high-tech GP team. It was an incredible performance today, and they fully deserve to stand on the top step.
We had an India 1-2 in the sprint race. Now it's a French 1-2 in the feature race. Isaac Hadjar winning from Clement Novalak, and we take third, sealing the team's championship.
It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
Well, there we go. F2 champions in both the drivers and the teams this weekend. Awesome stuff. Kushmaini really started bringing home some good results towards the end of the season. We helped out where we could, but ultimately his pace, his qualifying pace, getting into that top 10 and putting himself in the position to capitalize on the opportunities is really what made the difference. And yeah, we were able to ultimately wrap up the team's championship a little bit early after struggling to maintain a leading or contending position throughout parts of the season, with Kushmaini struggling a little bit to begin with, but yeah, it's been an awesome end to the season for our teammates. But anyway, let us take a look at first of all, the point scorers of this race. It was, of course, Isaac Hadjar, Clement Novalak and myself on the podium. Kushmaini P4, then it was Richard Verschoor P5, Tayo Porcher P6, 7th for Zane Maloney, 8th for Yumi Iwasa, so points, but after starting on pole position he'll be very disappointed with that result. Enzo Fittipaldi and Daruvala rounding out the top 10, and Daruvala taking that fastest lap. But I think even with that, we should have enough points to have won the team's championship. I should have double-checked that first. But in the Drivers' Championship, absolutely an insurmountable lead now with 84 points over Frederick Vesti in second position and 88 points over Daruvala. So that could easily change in the final round. Still second place to fight for. And Kushmaini does overhaul Oliver Behrman, moves up into 6th in the standings, and yeah, now has 5 points over Behrman, but a long way behind Dennis Hauger. So I think that's probably about as high as Kushmaini is going to get. We'll see what happens in the final round. But in the team's championship, we now have a 70-point margin, and I believe, I'll have to double check the maths on this, that is confirmation that we have won the championship. There's the sprint race win is 10 points, second place is 8 points, that's 18, and the feature race has another 25 and another 18. What's that? 25, 35, 43, 53, 61, plus the 2 fastest laps, that's 63, plus the pole position, that's 65. So yeah, 65 points is the most a team can score in a weekend, and we have a 70-point margin. So yeah, absolute confirmation that we have won the team's championship. So there you go. That is an awesome way to wrap up the penultimate round of the championship. We still have the final round in Abu Dhabi to go, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I've always enjoyed the Abu Dhabi circuit since the changes, the banking and the reprofiled final sector. But anyway, that is going to do it for this one. So I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It's always very helpful. Other than that, I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.